Sewing curves and angles. On the second sheet of paper, it will look like that with the title, and you will notice that it has angles, it has curves. It also has two straight lines, and since you already practiced that, please do these lines as well. When you start off sewing, again, you want to be sure that you aim the beginning of the line between the toes of the presser foot. With your right hand, you want to turn the balanced wheel towards you. Again, you never turn it away from you. If there were thread in this machine as there is now, if I did that, then the upper thread would not connect with the bottom thread from your bobbin. So get used to the practice of doing it this way. So we lower our sewing machine needle into the line itself at the very beginning. Now, if your stitch length dial is set for 3.5, you can go down as low as 2, which will make you having a shorter stitch, which in the long run will help you be able to turn the curves here a little bit more easily. So we're going to try this out, and again, you are guiding the paper with your hand. You are not holding it flat down. And you just keep an eye on the center line going in between the toes of the presser foot. And you're just guiding it. Go slow. We're not trying to get through this paper real fast. It will be graded to see if you can keep your eye pretty accurately on what the line is doing, as well as if you're aiming for the holes. And sometimes even I will have problems with remaining on the stitching line because you have to constantly be turning it. And that is also with the presser foot being down. I'm going to show you in just a minute that I did not follow my line and then what it will look like. So again, sewing curves, you do have to slow down. So if you have a project with a straight line and it comes to an angle or it comes to a curve, think of the stop sign at the intersection. You have to slow down. You just don't go right up to the sign and gun it until you get there and just suddenly just throw on the brakes. You want to be sure that you go and you start to slow down, as I will have to, because I am coming up at the very end. So, okay. Now my needle is up. What do I do next? I will go ahead and raise my presser foot from the back. There's a little black lever, and it will raise the presser foot, and you want to be sure your needle is up as well. Again, if there's thread on it, which there will not be on your practice sheet, you will pull the thread and the project out. You can just run it through the thread cutter on the side, and it's a little white extension on the side that you can pull it through. And you also want to, if your threads are a little bit short, you want to be able to pull your threads behind the machine. Make them a little bit longer. So as I'm looking at my paper, I don't know if you can see it, I'm going to hold it up because even you can do this in the classroom after you take your paper out with holding it up to the ceiling light to see that you aimed through. Now as you notice in this particular area, I went off of my line. Again, I try to stay on the line a little bit more, ending at the very end. The other practice that you will have, and you can do this on notebook paper too if you don't want to ruin the sheet, you will only have 2 sheets to work with in here, is the angle. And the angle, remember when you come to a point or you're curving, you always slow down. So we're going to go ahead and run our machine. It's not a very long line when we're coming right up to the point. Sometimes the way the paper's printed too, it doesn't give you enough room for your needle because you could overshoot the line or you could go before the line. Or again, use your balance wheel and move it up and down so that you can get as closely as possible to the corner. Now, we have to start going to this line. How are we going to do it? We raise our presser foot, leaving the needle in the paper all the way down. We turn our paper so the line will be fed through between the toes of the presser foot. Once you have that angle down correctly, you hold or lower the presser foot with the presser foot lifter and then continue on again. This is done like if you were making a square pillow, coming to the angle of a collar that you were sewing on a shirt. Again, when you come, if you don't want to overshoot the line, you can just take your balance wheel, turn it towards you, and end on the very edge of the line. Turn your paper, presser foot up, but needle is down. And then when you think you're about ready to go into that direction, and I need to turn it just a little bit more, you just follow that line like so. I'm coming to the end of the angle. I'm going to slow down just a little bit here. And with my balance wheel, I'll turn it to aim for the corner. Lift up the presser foot, leave the needle in the paper, turn the paper, and again, start sewing to the corner. Again, I'm going to slow it down and just be sure that with my hand wheel I'm turning it until I reach the corner. Turn the paper, press your foot up, needle down, and sew to the end of the line. When you start coming towards the end of the line, slow it down. Don't go over it. Again, if you need to turn the balance wheel, you can, and then raise it all the way as far as it will go to the top. Lifting your presser foot lifter in the back, you raise the presser foot. You take your project, if it has thread in it, and you run it over the sidebar, which is the cutting bar. What we did here, and I'm going to show you so if you can see through the light, now that I did my angle, I pretty much aimed it in the right direction. I did slow down at the point, and this is how your paper should look. Your lines should not be so close, excuse me, your needle holes should not be so close where you've ripped holes in the paper. That tells us that you've held it down too much. The last line that you are going to work on today will be your curves. And as you can see, it starts here, it curves around, comes here, curves around, and it continues on like that. Again, think of the stop sign. When you're coming to a corner or a point, you need to pivot, which means that with your balance wheel, you're going to take it and kind of walk the needle to that point. Again, slow your machine down before you do that. Leave the needle in, pick up the presser foot, and continue on. So every time in the corner, you leave the needle in and the presser foot comes up. And then you know how to finish the very end of your line. You should have a paper that is perfect. Do not practice on something such as your first sheet. Oh, I missed a line, I'm going to throw my paper away, I'm going to start on the second sheet. The first sheet is your practice sheet. So even if you make a mistake, it's not going to count against you. It's just getting you to practice it. On the second sheet, yes, you will have to be even a little bit more careful as how you are sewing. When you are done with this sheet as well as the angles, there will be another sheet for you to try for fun. So please complete that paper as well. Staple all three together and turn them in for your points.